Welcome to the Path to Purpose interview show, where we share our unique and universal stories about finding and fulfilling our purpose. My name is Katja, and I'm your host and mentor for Lightworkers. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to purpose. And today, I have a pleasure to interview my fellow author, Dr. Mohamed Rachadi, who is a humanitarian, entrepreneur, inspirational author, and speaker. Dr. Rachadi migrated to the USA from his native Morocco in the 70s. His first book, The American Dream for American Entrepreneurs, A Beginner's Guide to Freedom, Fame, and Fortune in the US, was published in November 2018. When he is not writing or speaking, he enjoys volunteering at Emory Hospital. So let's find out more about Dr. Mohamed Rachadi's path, and I will ask also his best steps to gain freedom, fame, and fortune, as he wrote a whole book about it. So let's get started here. So welcome, Dr. Mohamed Rachadi. It's lovely to have you here. So could you tell us a little bit more about you, because I introduced you very briefly.
Well, good day to you, Katja, and I want to thank you really for your kindness and your generosity to help me spread my mission. I am blessed, and I always start my day thanking the Lord for the blessing, for my family, for my health. And I always ask God to really help me to look and find the best there is in everyone. I believe really that we all have a story to tell, and some of us are blessed that we can tell it more than others, but everyone has a story. Everyone has a purpose in life. Mine started about, I would say, 2.5, 3 years ago. The reason I volunteer at Emory is because I spent some times at Emory Hospital in Johns Creek, Georgia, as a patient. And I experienced a major miracle because I was in a coma for several days. And in that period, I think I touched something that I cannot explain today, but it was a miracle that the doctors and the nurses and my God and my family helped me to revive me. And once that happened, from then on, I really committed myself to my purpose and mission. One of my mission is really a simple mission, is to give back to the world, because I've been blessed and I'm compelled to give back. So one of the things you mentioned about my book, The American Dream, I lived in the United States of America for 50 years now. I came as a student. I was blessed to go to college and grad school and ended up with a master's, a degree. And really what's fascinating is you spend so much time in a culture, in a country, and we have a choice whether we can look at the good things or the bad things. I focus on the good things. And America, and I know you're familiar with the United States because you went to school here too at times. Yeah. And really, there are a lot of good people everywhere in the world and also in the United States. So I share my book with immigrants who are serious about coming to the United States to study, or maybe to live here, to make a life with their family. And I want them to really understand certain things about the United States from my point of view as an immigrant. Because really, what I cover in my book, for instance, is one major chapter is about learning the English language. And I do that because when I landed in New York City back in 1970, I could not speak a word of English.
Wow.
And I share really the struggle that I had, how many things I missed because I could not communicate. I had friends, for instance, who helped me translate from either French or Arabic into English. So my chapter on learning English is critical if you really want to come and make a successful life in this country. Learn the language, because English is what people communicate with in the United States. And if you really want to move up, if you want to study, if you want to go to college, if you want to go to grad school, you got to learn the language. So
Mm.
that's just one of the chapters that I cover in my book, because quite a few of my friends always told me, well, you could always learn English once you get in the United States. Well, I can tell you from experience that it was not easy. And
So,
I had to enroll in college after 6 months spending time in New York, just learning the English language. And
yeah.
so that's one of the things that I share with in that book is, how do you really want to succeed, and what is it going to take to really be prepared to live in the United States? Because you got to bring some value to the country you're going to live in. You got to communicate your culture with their culture and be able to incorporate yourself in that culture. That's the only way you're going to really enjoy being here and hopefully reach the American dream, as I describe it in my books.
That's wonderful, and thank you for that. It's such a powerful story as well for your awakening as well when you were in the hospital having that experience. But we will talk about that in a moment, but now I'm inspired to hear more, like what was the special event that one day in Morocco you just like, hey, I'm gonna move to US to study, or how did that all get started? If you didn't speak the language, where did that dream come from, like that you wanted to move from your native country to America to study, when you knew that there might be some, like, okay, friends are saying, yeah, you can just go ahead, do it. But what started that?
Well, just like I say, things happen for a reason. Okay. And even before I moved to the United States, I was really inspired by my mother. And this lady did not speak, did not read or write, but she raised 6 children by herself when my dad passed away, and all of us ended up in school. She never really wanted to let anybody get out of school and go find a job. She insisted that every one of us go to school, get a degree, and I'm happy to say that we all did, and I'm one of the 6 was able to really write a book, or maybe write more books down the road. So that kind of the inspiration that lives with me on a daily basis, and as a result, I'm compelled to give back. My
Mm.
mother is not here to see all this, but she's watching from above, and she's really happy to see that I'm doing things, because I saw her struggle with 6 children by herself, because she didn't have a job. She only had a pension from the French army, because my dad was in the French army at one time. So I learned a lot just watching her when I was 11 years old. And my dream was, obviously, how can I become an entrepreneur and make a living so I can help her and help my brothers and sisters. The luck had it that I attended a Jesuit French agricultural school for 5 years in Morocco. And then I was given the opportunity to come to the United States to play soccer and attend college to go to medical school. And that's how it started. It's interesting, because if I said no, I just want to stay in Morocco, I wouldn't be doing this interview with you,
I
Katja.
know. I
But I
know.
said yes. I said yes to the opportunity, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I never knew anything about America, except a funny thing is I watched a movie a long time ago in Morocco by the name of West Side Story. and I was fascinated by that movie. I thought maybe one day I'll end up in New York City, and it did happen. And I lived in New York City for many years. So beautiful, beautiful city, and that many people come to visit on a regular basis.
Yeah, because back then it was also a little bit different. It wasn't that you're gonna go and Google how does it look like in New York. It was like it was
Exactly.
very different like times. You didn't check all Facebook friends, and but it is about those choices and how our choices lead, because I believe that inside we know what is for us. It might feel scary, but then if we have the courage to say yes, things will unfold. Like, yes, there might be a struggle like you described. Like in the beginning, it wasn't easy because you didn't speak the language. You were in a country and like new culture, new customs, and like figuring things out. So, because I think this might be, I have moved myself from my home country, Finland, to I've lived in, currently I live in Spain, I've lived in UK, USA, and it is just always like, of course it gets easier when you have done it a few times. You kind of like, okay, let's just adjust here.
Sure.
But there are some certain struggles as well. So now I'd like to, like, if you would like to share, what did you learn from those struggles? What helped you also to overcome them? Like when you move to a new country, because there might be people who are considering, like, I would love to, I have this dream of mine, and yet they haven't yet done the leap of faith and said yes to the new adventure. So how could they prepare for themselves to overcome those struggles with greater ease?
Thank you for that question. You know, the first chapter that I have in this book, The American Dream, is really the mindset, the proper mindset. You know, people need to do their homework first. I mean, I was lucky. I was given the opportunity. I didn't have to do much, really. Somebody bought me a ticket, put me on the plane, and I landed in New York City, and I started going to school, find a part-time job, and even though I didn't speak any English. So the first thing that I recommend for people is really do your homework. Why do you want to come to this country? What do you know about this country? Have you done your homework? Have you read about the states, about the Constitution, about the culture, about things? But some of the challenges that I ran through is one I think that I'm sure you can sympathize with is really you get homesick when you leave your country and your family. I mean, I spend nights drinking beer and crying and listening to my music and feeling sorry for myself, you know. But deep inside, I knew that I was here for a reason. I came here to study, to get a degree and go back to Morocco and teach or do something there. Because things never work out the way you think they're going to work out. You know, before you know it, I met my wife in New York City. I get married. We have children, and now I live in Georgia. You know, but one of the challenges really was for me is the language, because I could not communicate. You know, you know, it's funny how I attended this business school just to learn English, but you know, I had Moroccan friends and friends from different countries who spoke English, and I felt really very jealous because they were making friends with girls and other friends, you know, in New York City, and here I am sitting in my corner just watching and feeling sorry for myself because I couldn't talk their language, you know. So that was really tough. That's why I insist, you know, before you travel to a country like the US and you know they only speak English, or at least the major language is English, learn the English language, because today we can learn English online. You can learn it going to libraries, embassies. They all have courses and they all have places where you can learn the language. So when you land, you know, in the US, at least you know how to share certain things, how you can ask for direction, how you can ask for, you know, a meal or whatever. I mean,
Mm.
I used to feel bad because we used to go out in New York City, you know how they have those hot dog carts in the streets to go and get lunch. I couldn't even order my own lunch because I couldn't say it in English. I had a friend of mine who would order for me. And that kind of stayed with me, you know, for a long time. I said, I better work harder and learn English. And then I learned and I went to school, the college. And of course, I was a pre-med, so learning chemistry and physics and math and biology in English was not easy either.
I
So that's
bet.
a struggle. You know, if you're serious about studying in the United States, you better learn the language first.
Yeah, and most likely if you're listening this, you already know English. So that's the good thing. And it's just
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
because English is not my native language either. And then
Sure,
it's, of course,
sure,
I have accent in every language I speak, but I do speak several languages.
sure.
So it is then also like finding a way, like what you talked there as well, like seeing others to contact and communicate because they speak common language. So the homesickness being feeling isolated maybe in somewhat, and that can happen in the cities even if you speak the language. So then it's finding those connections, finding contacts, and like having the connection with your dream, because I believe that helps. Like you had that, like I'm here and I'm just gonna study. So that kept you going for those moments when you might have felt homesick, when you wanted to go, maybe go back, but you didn't. You continued, even though it was, as I hear, pretty challenging. There was challenging moments in your life.
Yes, and really, and later in life and in business, you learn what people mean sometimes by saying, you know, you're going to fail sometimes. You're going to have challenges. You're going to struggle, but you got to hang in there. Don't give up. You know,
Mm,
you learn those precious things about business. That's how people really succeed because they don't give up. It's easier to give up. You know, I could have said, hey, I had enough 2 years in the US. I'm going back to my Morocco, and God knows what I would have been doing because you never know. You know, it
yeah,
could have been good, it could have been bad. You never
yeah,
know. But I'm not going to worry about it now because I've done what I've done. But you know, one thing that I shared too in the book, which was fascinating for me, you know, even though I did not speak English properly at times, a lot of friends in the US were very generous. They always say, wow, your English is so good. And I knew they really did not mean it that way, but they were so nice because they were encouraging. They said, oh yeah, you speak good English. You know, that's, and I learned that that's important too, because you know they are so hospitable and welcome, and that helped a lot too. You know, because I preach a lot in my book that you're really going to be successful living in communities here in the US is if you volunteer, if you interact with people, if you communicate, if you give back to the community as well. Don't
mm,
just think, you got to give back because the more you give, the more you receive. And I'll tell you, in the United States, as you know, Katja, people work hard and
mm-hmm.
they appreciate people who work hard. So think about this to my readers when they read the book. Be serious about working hard because it pays at the end, and you will be well accepted if people know that you are working hard and make a living that way. So that's my 2 cents for the advice of the book anyway. So.
Oh, that's beautiful because you actually answered, because that was something I wanted to ask from your experience as well, the American dream, because there are many people who have that dream, but many struggle to fulfill it. It is the vision, but then when these challenges and struggles come, it's like you said, it's easy to give up. It's easy to say like, well, I'm not gonna be up for that. I'm gonna go back. And then yet, that's where it gets tricky, because you make a choice. You say, okay, this is not for me. You go back to something that you feel more comfortable. It's back to the comfort zone. But then yet you carry that dream. It's still there and reminding you, I should have. I should have continued. I had that dream. So it's still there back of your mind. So if somebody now is experiencing that, maybe they made a choice. They said, I'm not gonna go after my dream. I go back to what I know and feel comfortable with. So what would be your few words for those people who are like having maybe a little bit regret that they didn't go for it?
Yeah, yeah, and really, the American dream is each one of us has that idea of the American dream is different. Some people dream to be millionaires and billionaires, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Some folks have dreams to just have a family and a house and a car and live comfortably. The American dream is not necessarily a lot of money, a lot of riches. The American dream is really to be given the opportunity to reach the best what you can give.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Something showed up on my screen here. Really, the American dream is what you believe it is for you that makes you happy. I encourage people to find peace with themselves. See, I found peace with myself being content. I am blessed with what God has given me, my family, my health. So I don't always ask more, although I always strive for more, but I'm always content. I'm always content, and I could always do better, you know? And people who get discouraged sometimes is because they run out of money, they run out of friends, they get involved with some bad things maybe, and they get discouraged. But really the key is to stay focused. And I know that we talk about goals, and goals are important, you know, goals, but I'd rather say a purpose.
Yes.
God has given us a purpose. Everyone has a purpose in life. And if you can identify what it is, sometimes you don't. But you just trust God and move on, and you do whatever you have to do, because things happen for a reason, you know. So I encourage everybody, regardless how tough it is, you just got to hang in there, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's always going to be light, especially if you pray and if you believe in this force that is greater than us. Because life is beautiful, you know? I mean, I know, because I was in a coma, and I knew that I was gone. But now that I'm back, I'm looking forward to my daughters to get married and have grandchildren, and enjoy life and give back to the community. So always keep hope alive. Always keep the dream alive, because that's what life is. If you give up on it, you're gone, you lost. So you can't give up on it. So that's my advice, is hang in there.
And I love, because that's really resonates with me, and it was so encouraging that you shared it. And I'm so happy that you got this second opportunity to continue, come back from coma, so that you can share now your work, and in maybe in a different way than before you did. You already was fulfilling your purpose, but now this feels like something shifted when you came back.
Definitely, definitely. And really, I mean, a lot of folks go through these experiences, and sometimes you can't share that experience because people can't relate unless they've gone through that. And I know in our group, for instance, we have a lot of folks who have gone through that, and they can appreciate the meaning of that. And you know, Katja, that's why I said choices are important and how we do with the choices. Sometimes something bad can happen to you, but it means a lot because after that bad things, a lot of good things happen. You know,
Mm.
sometimes you think, well, you are miserable, you are sick, you are broke, whatever. But you know, once you go through that and you pass that hurdle, then everything else is beautiful. So I say that behind every success, there is a failure or there is a challenge. You
Mm.
know, maybe life is this way. We would not recognize happiness unless we know there is sadness. We wouldn't recognize richness unless we know what poverty is. You know, we wouldn't recognize good health unless we know what sickness is. So as you can see, there's a dual uh, activity in every one of us. And unless we are in peace with ourselves and recognize that those are the things that maybe God meant for us, we have the choice to either recognize them and live with them or ignore them and do whatever else. We all have a choice.
Yeah, and I know you are working on this choice as well because you are writing the book that is around this topic. So I look forward to reading it when it comes out because I think there is such a wonderful wisdom and just the way of awareness that you will bring through in that book that will help people to open their eyes and see maybe life different way.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it fascinates me really to talk about it and write about it because I know my mother is not going to be here to hear it or see it, but there are a lot of children, my grandchildren someday, thank God, will read about it, and the children in their generation to come, and just a view on what an old man like me had gone through for 70 years or so, and share that wisdom
Mm.
because really sometimes we make a mess out of our lives because we don't know any better. Sometimes it's our fault because we choose to do those things. Sometimes the choices are given to us by someone else. You know, some of us don't have the choice sometimes, or at least we think we don't. But when we do, and there are consequences obviously to everything, then how we handle the consequences is really what's important. You know, I don't care if somebody ends up in Alaska or China or whatever, but if you are there, make the best out of that. And you can
Mm.
only make the best out of that if you think positive, if you see the good things in life and in others. Because if you don't, you will be miserable the rest of your life. So the choice is again ours, you know.
Yes, it is. So that is a beautiful, beautiful messages you are sharing here. So now if somebody there is inspired and would love to find out more about your work, how they can reach out to you, where can they find you?
Well, they can find my website. It's morerachadi.com. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm a little bit everywhere as far as social media. And they
Well,
can just get hold of me via email, via phone number. All that information is on my Facebook and my other social media platforms. So I'm easy to get hold of.
yeah, I will also put it on the comments below the website so it's easy to find and find out more. And I've been taking your time, but I would love to still ask, do you have a one special message that you want to share with the people who are watching this interview right now?
Oh yes, my message really is simple. Is if in life you are blessed, then give back to the world, give back to the community, because to me, we all need each other to really make this world a better place. I don't care how simple an act, I don't care how big of an act, as long as you are thinking of others, are always as trying to help others. And one of the things I would like to offer to your audience and to my fellow immigrants, if they would like to get a free copy of the book, all they need to go to do is really go to my website and be able to get a copy or an ebook or whatever, as part of my giving back. I mean, we write books not to sell them, but to share them with the world. And I would love to give that book away for people who are inspired, because I have been inspired before by others. So it's my turn to give back.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed Rachadi. It's been such lovely to have you here and talk with you and hear more about your journey and hear your inspiring insights as well from your path. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching this. If you want to subscribe to this channel, so you will find out when the next episode is up. And please do leave a comment or share this message with those who need it. So I am sending you so much light and love. Stay well and stay blessed. Bye for now.